Hey, what's going on, guys? Yuri here. Welcome to our special hangout today. We're going live once again on the IG. What's going on? Amanda, we got Wilcox.Bill, www. Welcome, guys. All right, we're going to be talking about the irresistible offer equation. If you're watching this inside the Facebook group, great job. If you're not in the Facebook group, you can join us inside the Facebook group at healthpreneurgroup.com/tribe. So what I want to share with you today is a really, really important concept. And this is something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about over the years, because here's the reality is that a lot of times, this is the biggest thing that I see. Like, this is the most consistent reason that health, fitness, and wellness experts don't make the money they want to make is because they don't have this irresistible offer equation dialed in or even understood. So I want to hopefully clarify this for you to help you understand it. And the reason this is important is because there's a very big difference between selling people what they want and selling people what you think they need, right? So in the world of marketing, I'm just going to move my camera here because it's a little bit in the way. Okay. In the world of marketing, there's a common phrase called sell them what they want, give them what they need. And we see this a lot of times where various experts come in to work with us. And they're like, yeah, like I'm helping, I help people with their mindset. I'm like, everyone is, right? But that's not something that people want. It's something that they need, but they don't want to pay a lot of money for mindset or to sit around and meditate. A lot of these kind of soft offers are very, very challenging to make work. And hopefully, as you see this equation, it'll start to make a lot more sense for you, okay? So without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right in. If you're watching this in the group, obviously you'll see me on the iPad here. If you are joining me on Instagram, then just give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you're joining in from. We got, just let me know where you're at. And if you can't see this, then I'll just show this on the camera afterwards. Okay, if you're listening to this on the podcast, obviously jump over to the Facebook group, or you can join us on YouTube to catch the replay. So here's how this works. Is when we look at irresistible offer, okay? So an irresistible offer is, think of The Godfather. It's an offer so good you can't refuse it. It's so good that it cannot be refused. And that means there's a tremendous amount of value. Because at the end of the day, how we decide to buy things or what we do with our money is really a clarification of value. So when someone buys a $4,000 80-inch TV, that signifies that they are spending that money on something that they feel is important to them. Whereas someone who doesn't spend that money on that, but they might spend $4,000 on travel, then that's a clarification of their values, right? So when it comes to establishing value, here's how this looks. If we want to increase the value of what it is we're offering, there's a couple factors in place. Number one is the desirability, if that's how you even write it, desirability of outcome. I'm going to have to make this a little bit smaller because I'm going to run out of space. Oops. So let me do this. So the desirability of outcome, or the significance of the outcome, if you will, multiplied by the likelihood of achievement of that outcome. Okay, so we have two factors right there, and that's going to be divided by time plus effort. That there is your irresistible offer equation. Now, please do not discount how simple this is, because this is, and I'll just show this to you guys watching this on the IG. Okay, so right there. Do not discount how important this is, because the reality is this. If you have an offer, a core program, something you're selling, it could be coaching, products, supplements. I mean, for the most part, if you're following me, it's mostly coaching. But the reality is that if you're not getting enough people saying yes, then there's a couple things that are going on here. Okay, so let's use the example of two different scenarios. we know as human beings, we typically want results quick with the least amount of time and effort. And that's why supplements are very easy to sell in general, right? So if someone wants to lose weight, it's a lot more attractive for them to pop a pill than it is for them to go through the pain of exercise and eating well. So let's just break that down for a second. So person says, I want to lose weight, and your offer is great. I've got this cool pill. It's going to help you lose weight. So number one, desirability of outcome is very high. They want to lose weight. What is the likelihood of achieving that outcome? Well, obviously, if it's a proven formulation, then the likelihood of achieving it, if you do nothing else but take this pill, is pretty high as well. If we divide that by the time and energy or the time and effort required to pop that pill, very little time, very little effort. So what that equates to, and I'll just make this a bit smaller so I can fit all this in. So value, to increase value, we have to decrease time and effort or increase desirability of outcome and likelihood of its achievement. Those are the only two things we can throttle. So that's why typically if we look at supplements or even like in the pharmaceutical industry, the pharmaceutical industry is $1 billion industry, and they're running ads that are blatantly saying, hey, the side effects of taking this could include blindness, deafness, incessant defecation, death, all of these side effects that if you were to tell a prospective client these things over the phone, they would be like, there is no way in hell I am ever giving you my money. Yet the pharmaceutical industry does this day after day, and trillions of dollars in meds sold. People are lined up to go to their doctor to ask for prescriptions for these meds that they have been told could potentially destroy their health. And this is the irony of this stuff. So why does that happen? Well, it's because of this. Because they want an outcome. So for instance, if we look at depression, right? Depression and anxiety are rampant in today's society. So let's say the desirability of not having depression is very high. The likelihood of achieving less depression or balanced mood with a medication is probably high because people believe that that's the way to do it. What is the time and effort required to pop that pill? It's nothing. Right? So that's why it's so much easier for most people to just pop a pill, right? The flip side to that is, let's say you're offering a coaching program that offers people the same outcome. So less depression, more mental stability, likelihood of achievement now is going to be questionable because now you have to really show that you can produce results. So social proof becomes a really big issue in terms of the sale of your thing, but also when we look at time and effort, well, how are people going to achieve that results? Well, now they may have to meditate, they might have to be more mindful, they have to practice awareness, they have to do all this stuff. So it requires more effort and requires more time to do all this. And naturally, that's when people start thinking like, hey, I need to think about it. It's like, well, it's a nice to have. It's not a must have, because in the back of their mind, even if they're not aware of it consciously and telling you about this, they're telling you or themselves at some level that this, like, yes, I want the outcome, but for whatever reason, this just seems like too much work. I don't want to do it. Okay. So how do we get around that? Because we are selling coaching. We're not selling the magic pill. So how do we get around this? Well, here's how we do this is when you are having conversations. So two ways we do this. Number one, you have to focus on creating an offer that is extremely desirable by your marketplace. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second. But the second, and maybe the first thing, is in conversations with prospective clients is do not spend all of your time talking about your deliverables. Okay, we're going to do this workout, you're going to do these meal plans and all this stuff. When you are talking about your program, you have to keep it super light and super high level. You have to focus on the outcome and the offer. That is it as you get into, like, once you've done the discovery piece of the call. But what I find happens a lot of times is we spend so much time talking about our stuff, like, hey, like, you're going to get this. And I make this mistake too. Like, I really have to catch myself from doing this because it's so ingrained in how we're brought up as experts and teachers of, like, just sharing and teaching all this stuff. But the reality is that the less you share, the more you're going to sell. Because when you share You're going to do like 12 weeks of workouts, you're going to have like all sorts of recipes, and you're going to do all this kind of stuff. Then we're going to clean out your pantry, and we're going to meditate 20 hours a day. When you share all that stuff, the person is thinking, oh my God, this is too much. Like, I don't want to do all this stuff, right? And there's a balance between really making sure people are qualified to work with you. So, ensuring that they know that this is not pop a pill and get a result. This is do the work, show up, etc. But you still have to, in the presentation of your thing, not focus on the thing, focus on the outcome. Focus on, we talked about this before, focus on the destination, not on the journey, which is kind of ironic because the fulfillment in life comes from the journey, not the destination. But from a selling perspective, we have to sell people the white sandy beach, not the turbulent airplane ride. Does that make sense? So when you are in your sales conversations, you need to focus on the outcome that they want. And you've obviously established some rapport and questions and discovery earlier in the call, which is going to bring up their needs, where they're stuck. You tie everything that your program does back to those things and how they solve that. And then you give them an offer that they can't refuse. To be like, listen, like if you want that, right, here's what it's going to cost. And it's, whatever it is. But if you do a good enough job in the call, they should have enough value built up and established so that there is less price objection when you get to that point of the call. But let's come back to the offer itself. And I want to talk about, it's very tough to talk about one of these in isolation because the reality is like if you are offering something that people don't want, then it's really simple. Look at your bank account. How's that working out, right? Either if you have something that is so desirable that everyone wants, then why isn't your bank account overflowing with money? Because that's really the metric. If you are helping people, which is a byproduct of people saying like, yes, I want this, here's my money, then you have an offer that they want. But the reality is that the health, wellness, and fitness space is so focused on deliverables and what I think people want and what they need, instead of really thinking about, well, what do people really want? We see this all the time. Like, I don't just want to be another weight loss person. Who cares? Too bad, right? CFE Health, is that Chip? What's going on, my man? I think it's, and if it's not Chip, I apologize. I'm just seeing your thumbnail. So anyways, thank you for the shout out. But the reality is like, if you are offering something that people do not want, don't be surprised if they don't buy it, if they don't give you money for it. So you need to think about, well, how do I craft an offer that people just like salivate over and they're like, oh my God, I have to have this. Well, it goes back to this. It goes back to understanding the marketplace. It goes back to looking at what people are buying all the time for the rest of time. It's not going to change. It's going to be how we look. That's going to be the biggest motivator for most people. When I lost my hair when I was 17, do you think I was pretty motivated to figure out a solution? You better believe it. But here's the thing, is that now 22 years later, I'm less motivated because I've gone through the journey. I grew it back and then the damn tetanus shot threw my immune system back in haywire and kind of lost it a couple of years ago. But there's less motivation for me now because, and I'm sure at some point something will trigger and I'll want to, go down that rabbit hole again. But the reality is that when people look, because we are such social beings, right? Think about this. If we don't look the parts, right? We're not thin enough, we're not fit enough, we're not attractive enough. In our subconscious, like in our limbic system, in our reptilian brain, that means we will not be accepted by the tribe. And if we go back to our ancestral DNA, that means we're at a tribe, which means we're dead. So how we look is one of the most important motivators. And that means, well, better looking skin, right? Weight loss, all this stuff is going to be important. It's going to be an easier sell than something that is less tangible like energy. And listen, like I sold energy for years. I mean, I wrote the New York Times best-selling book on the topic, so I know how to sell it. But the reality is that it's easier to sell a physical transformation than an intangible one. Typically, people buy for one of four reasons, or maybe more than one of the four reasons. We call it APES: appearance, performance, economics, and status. 4. Okay, so appearance, number one motivator, very, very important. 2, performance. If we're talking to high performers or athletes or whatever, and you find a way to really emotionally trigger how a performance improvement means a lot to them, that's going to be a big motivator. Economics, some people are looking for the cheapest solution. I don't think that's the world we're playing in. Like never, ever, ever discount your stuff to the point where you say, hey, that person's charging $50, so I'm going to charge $50. It's a race to the bottom. Never compete on price. Who cares what your competition is doing? Focus on your clients. Because at the end of the day, your competition isn't giving you money. The competition is not giving you money. Your clients are giving you money. Focus on adding more value, being more valuable, being better at what you do, and charge accordingly. Okay? I'm serious about this. It's yeah. And then fourth is status. If you understand how human beings operate in certain social settings, listen, like for the right people, status is a big thing, right? In the entrepreneurial space. I know this because I'm an entrepreneur and status is a big thing for me, right? If I can show up in a way that's going to improve my status in a specific group, that's a big motivator, right? It's not the most, that's not the most important. And maybe it's not the thing that I'm overtly going to talk about, but it's a motivator. So if you understand how to motivate people based on these 4 different principles, well, that's going to make the desirability of your outcome a lot more powerful. Okay? Likelihood of achievement, again, when we are talking about something that doesn't have the track record of like let's say a pharmaceutical drug, the likelihood of achievement comes into question because now people are asking themselves, show me the proof. Like, does this really work? And listen, in some cases, you might not have a lot of social proof if you're starting out. And that's where you just have to say, listen, I know this works. I'm not sure if you do. If we work together, and you do the work, most likely you're going to get results. But the reality is that the likelihood of achievement, you have to do whatever you can over time with your clients in whatever way, shape, or form to garner social proof and testimonials. And that goes back to your product. Your delivery, your coaching needs to be so good that it produces results for people, because the more results you produce for people, the higher the degree, the likelihood of achievement goes up in the prospect's minds. We're like, oh my God, this person has millions of testimonials. This must work. They're promising this thing that I want. They have a ton of social proof to back it up. And now we have to look at time and effort. Okay, so this is a big one, and I want you to remember this. Let me ask you a question. So you come to me and you say, okay, Yuri, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I say, that's great. That's a really important goal for whatever reasons that are important to you. And I tell you, I have 2 options. I have a 12-week program, right, where we're going to work out 3 days a week. I'm going to have all these meal plans given to you, and you're going to do all this stuff. Or the second option, and that's going to be $3,000. Or the second option is I'm just going to press one spot on your forehead, and that weight is instantly going to vanish. And it's $3,000 as well. Which one would you choose? Now listen, if you're a human being, you probably chose the second one, right? The push on the forehead. Why? Because of time and effort. It's the easy button. Now, I'm not saying we're offering easy button solutions for our clients, but I want you to think about that. How can you make your program shorter and seemingly less effortful while knowing full well that there is effort and work involved? So this is something I encourage my clients to think about all the time. What is the shortest amount of time you can help someone produce results? Is it 8 weeks versus 12 weeks? Well, then go with 8 weeks. Why would they have to wait an extra 4 weeks to get a result? If you can do it in 4 weeks instead of 8, that's great. Okay, Yuri, well, if it's only 4 weeks, I got to charge less. Why? And this is the mindset you have to get out of. The health, wellness, and fitness space. Like, we as a tribe, as a community, are so we are so obsessed with deliverables that we think if it's a bigger book, it should be more valuable. But the reality is that the bigger the book, the more of a pain in the ass it is. I would rather pay the same amount of money for a 1-page solution than a 300-page book. Joanna, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope all is well. Yeah, 8 weeks works great for you. Great stuff. Hope life is awesome in Paraguay. Hope the kids are great. Thanks for jumping in. So like if you can think of your program, we had a client years ago who was helping women with PCOS, and it was a 12-month program. And she came to us because she was having trouble converting. I was like, you know the reason why? Because it's 12 months long. People don't want to wait 12 months to recover from PCOS. So how do we chop that down? What can we do in 90 days? What can we do in 30 days? Right? And so I want you to think about this, because I'm not saying promise miracles overnight. That's not what this is. But it's about really understanding this equation. Because if you can work within the confines of, yes, there is work. Like, yes, you do have to show up. Yes, you do have to look inside and do the work internally and whatever. But with that understanding is, how do we make the program as short as possible, as seemingly effortless as possible, high desirable outcome, and a higher likelihood of achieving it. When you have those 4 things working in cohesiveness, now you'll have a much easier time of people giving you money, because in their mind, they're like, this is valuable. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, obviously, drop me a comment. If you're watching the replay on IGTV or Instagram, just give me a little muscle flex, just so I know that you're watching the replay. If you're watching live, just throw in a little fire emoji. And if you guys are watching on the Facebook group, what's up? Just drop me a comment in the comments below. If you're on the podcast, well, thank you so much. Either way, guys, listen, if you want help with your offers, if you want help doing a better job with your marketing, because the reality is you're only a couple tweaks away from improving your messaging. If you want help with that, that's what we do every single day. And what I'd like to offer you is a free business audit. Like literally, we'll jump on the phone, and for about 45 minutes, we'll go deep into your business. We'll look at your offer. We'll look at where things could be better. We'll look at how many clients you're bringing on right now. If it's not where you want it to be, why that is, and we'll look at where you want to go and how we can put together a plan to get you there in a much more cohesive fashion than what you might be doing right now. So there we go. So if you want to book in your call, it's totally free. Go to workwithyuri.com. And if you find a lot of value in that call and you want our help, we can talk about what that might look like. And if not, totally cool as well. Nice. Joanna, filled up each and every one of your 5 coaching groups this year, and you've got so much social proof. I need more time to post it all. See, this is Joanna, one of our clients, just amazing. And working arguably in one of the most obscure markets, which is incredible. And this is proof that, this stuff works. All right, guys? So anyways, hope you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully it gets you thinking about value and making your offers a bit more irresistible. And there you go. All right, guys. Tune out for now. I will see you later. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you soon.